Welcome back to our live coverage of the West Bloomfield Fire Department Open House live from Fire Station Number 1 in West Bloomfield Township. We'll be here from 12 noon until 3 o'clock today with people from all across the community. Byron, I'll have you just scoot in a little bit closer to me, and we'll have a discussion. We're with Byron Turnquist from the West Bloomfield Township Fire Department, the Fire Marshal in West Bloomfield. As we're celebrating 100 years of service, the Fire Marshal is kind of that first person in the leadership line of safety that's kind of looking from a global point of view at safety on the fire side in West Bloomfield Township. But for those that aren't familiar with what the Fire Marshal's side of the department does, what is your day-to-day responsibilities that you're looking at?
Oh, we have a lot of different responsibilities. But when it comes to commercial properties within the township, we're involved in the process right from the beginning. When a developer submits a plan to the township hall to work with the building department and the planning commission, we put our input in as far as the location of fire hydrants, how wide the roads are, making sure that our fire trucks can turn on the roads. And then when the buildings are proposed, we get involved in the plan review to make sure that they're built to the proper codes. If they require a fire suppression system, those get installed. Fire alarms, exits, emergency lights, exit lights, all of those things. And then once the building opens up for use and for business, we come back every year and make sure fire extinguishers are in place, exits aren't blocked, exit pathways are clear and open, just to make it a safer community for everybody to live, work, and shop in.
And it's such an important role because, especially in a community like West Bloomfield Township, it's constantly developing. There's adaptations to the status quo year in and year out. We've seen such rapid change in the last several years with expansions to Henry Ford West Bloomfield Hospital. New middle school just went up a couple of years ago. We're looking at, in the near future, other home development, residential developments, as well as changes to our schools also set to happen. So when that all comes into play, just how in-depth are those conversations with these developers over time? And what often are those conversations like to balance what the needs of these developers are, the needs of these developments are, but also what the safety needs of the community as things change from one area to right next door in the next area?
Right. One thing we do on every development, one of the goals we have is we want it to be safe, but we also understand that business owners, developers, everybody needs to be successful in their business. So we work with the developers in residential properties as well. One thing we always push for, we're a very strong advocate for residential sprinkler systems because that gives residents in their homes more time to get out in the event of a fire. So we've worked with some developers who've been open to putting in sprinkler systems, and we've been able to do that. But again, just like the commercial properties, we want to make sure fire hydrants are in the right spot. We want to make sure that the roads are wide enough and that we have ways in and out, more than one way into your neighborhood, so that in the event of an emergency, we can come help mitigate that as fast as possible.
Just how much of a difference does that make to have those standards in place, to have those standards stuck to, not just at these new developments, but at developments that are already in place over time as those things are updated?
It's very important. The stuff that we're building today, we're leaving for, the residents of this community 10, 20, 50, 100 years from now. So it's very important that we get it right when we build it. Sometimes I'm not always the most popular person in the room, but I'm trying to look further down the road to make sure that we're building a development or a building that we can live with and is going to be safe for everybody for years to come.
And whenever we talk to you, Byron, we're with Byron Turnquist, the West Bloomfield Fire Marshal with the West Bloomfield Fire Department. Every time we talk to you, we talk to Dave DeBoer, the Deputy Fire Marshal, even Chief Flynn and others, and we talk about how properties today are in some ways more dangerous from the building materials standpoint, or from the materials within those homes more likely, or within those businesses, than in years past. So how does that play in that balance between some of the more flammable modern products that are being used in putting up structures and building furniture that we have in our homes and decorations in our homes versus in the past? How does that also factor into maintaining those regulations in our local area?
Years ago in the fire service, it's often called legacy construction. Homes were built different. The frame that you don't see behind the drywall was just a little bit different, and everybody wanted open floor plans, so the engineers figured out a way to do that, and we have engineered structural members now. And when fire attacks those, they behave differently than what a house would behave in a fire, 20, 30 years ago. But more importantly, it's just the furnishings that we're putting into our house. Everything is more synthetic, more plastics. It's just more man-made stuff. It's not the natural products where you used to have 10 or 15 minutes maybe to get out of a house if there was a fire in your home. Now you have seconds to maybe a minute or two to get out. It's just that the black smoke develops, depletes the oxygen. You can't breathe. You need to get out of that house as soon as possible.
And that's what's great about having something like this happening today. We're not just celebrating 100 years of fire service from the West Bloomfield Fire Department to the township and several decades to the Tri-Cities. We're learning about what goes into fire safety in our homes, in our businesses, outside, how we can help ourselves and help our communities. And a big part of that is having that fire safety plan in your home, especially that escape plan.
Yeah, it's very important to know at least 2 ways out of every room of your house. If you've got a second floor, it's a great idea to have a ladder or some means to get out of the house. If you can get out of the house and you get onto a roof from the first floor and you can't get down from there, when we arrive, we'll be able to get you down safely. It's important to get out, get to the fresh air, and just be safe.
It's one thing to identify those 2 ways out in every room. It's another thing to take that identification and build a plan that's going to be solid and know that plan. So what really should that discussion be from from the leaders of that household and from those all across that are in that household, the kids, the family, even taking into account pets? How do you go about building that plan? What's the best way to start?
So you have to practice. You need to sit down as a family and develop it and get your children involved, no matter how young they are. Get them thinking about it. And when you practice the plan, you'll find things that worked well or didn't work. You may find that your son won't be able to open the bedroom window. Okay, now you need to teach him how to open the bedroom window. Or you're going to need to change that plan to make sure that it's something that'll work for your family. And it's good to practice it at different times of the day. So that kids know how to open the window when it's dark outside. Emergencies don't always happen at 3 o'clock in the afternoon on 80-degree days.
A great resource for a lot of this information is on the West Bloomfield Fire Department's Facebook page, where we are broadcasting live today. You can also find it by simply contacting the West Bloomfield Township Fire Department on their non-emergency numbers, all of which can be found at wbtownship.org. And Byron, with just another couple minutes, we'll keep you here. We know it's a very busy day for you. But how can the fire department play a role in these families building their plans? What can families and individuals reach out to the fire department for in terms of helping them refine that plan?
If they've got questions, they can always call the business number and reach out to us, and we'll be happy to answer those questions. Again, following the Facebook page, like you just mentioned, we try to put out safety messages there and make them very relevant to the community. One of the leading causes of house fires in the West Bloomfield area is careless cooking, unattended cooking, where in this day and age with TVs and computers and your phone, it's so easy to get distracted. And when somebody's cooking, they get a phone call. All of a sudden, a quick 1-minute phone call is 10 or 15 minutes, and you come back when the smoke alarms are going off and there's a fire in your kitchen. So it's very important to stay in your kitchen if you're cooking. Never leave that stove unattended. And I'll always plug, make sure you test your smoke alarms.